Welcome, everyone, to After the Dragon. This is the fifth episode following the fifth episode of House of the Dragon. Marcus Frederiksen plays us in and out of every episode as he does everything under the Mayhem Media banner and our sister show, the Boiling Point Podcast. Make sure you check out his channel, reverbnation.com/Marcus Frederiksen. I am joined by my co-host for this series, Mizpah. Mizpah, we have a number of things that we're going to talk about in this episode. It was a great episode for sure. So let's get some of the advertising out of the way first. You can, of course, follow us on YouTube or Rumble. Just search Mayhem Media. We're on Facebook, facebook.com/Mayhem Media Inc. And, of course, we use JDEDESIGNz storefront. We don't have any shirts up yet, but we will soon. Bonfire.com/store/JDEDESIGNz. That's with a Z and all lowercase. And our sister show, the Boiling Point Podcast, also on Rumble and YouTube. And you can also find it on Facebook. Mizpah, episode 5, a great episode, one with a wedding. And, of course, the first thing that I want to ask you is, do you know what color the top of the tower burns in Old Town when they're calling in their banners?
Oh, that would be green.
Absolutely. And that's where we're going to start with the Queen sending up a big green flare right in the middle of her, well, basically her stepdaughter's wedding feast.
And the king's speech.
In the middle of the king's speech, and coming from a character who doesn't like the spotlight on them, coming from someone who's more of the observer than the observee, it was that was a huge statement. That was, with no words, she made a huge statement to everybody in the room, to the entire realm.
Absolutely. And I'm pretty sure that King definitely received the message.
I think everybody received the message, including Princess Rhaenyra, the heir. She definitely got the message when they had a little, when she came over and said, congratulations, this is a great day for you. I mean, that was cold, dude. That was, I felt the ice in my living room. So that was cold, man.
And the mini stare-off that they had.
Yeah. That was no good there. So, but now I'm going to throw it to you, let you take us through a couple of different topics here from this episode. I just wanted to make sure we got that right at the top, because I think if anybody missed that, I mean, they do explain it in the episode there. I don't know which two of the guys, what family that is, what house that is. I'm going to put together a whole chart for me and Mizpah for the next episode so that we can start keeping all these names and all these families straight. But there just wasn't enough time to do it before tonight's episode. But the two brothers, they discussed what, they had the same discussion we just had about the green and what it means.
It actually happened between the King's Hand's son and the future King's guard.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, good. Oh, that came from probably the Breeze, who is, of course, off screen. Breeze is a producer with all of Mayhem Media and the Boiling Point Podcast, as is Mizpah, an executive producer for everything, basically, that I do at the moment. But yes, that was a flare. But let's move on to something else. You have some topics that you wanted to talk about in this one, so I'm going to throw it to you and let you take us through these.
Yeah, so watching this episode, there were so many things we could cover. And we could turn this into an 1.5 hour long podcast.
Yes.
But I narrowed it down to what I thought was, real key points.
All right.
Like, for example, did you notice the King's arm by chance?
I saw that when they were doing the stuff on his arm. That's what I saw. I did see that. We had talked a little bit about the hand, which I'm sure you're about to mention in a second. I didn't see the hand, but I did see the arm being covered. His whole arm is basically going to die now at this point, and he is looking bad. He's gray. His skin color is gray. I mean, he's not looking good.
Well, and even the arm looked like the way it looked. It had that like grayscale kind of look to it. And what I saw was a hand that was missing a couple of digits at least.
So maybe he's down a couple of fingers now. Now, I did not see the fingers. I did see that the whole arm is basically gangrene. I mean, it's dying. He's dying from the wounds he's suffering from the throne. It's basically chewing him up alive, and he's going to start losing limbs. If he doesn't die, I mean, I don't want to jump ahead on your points, but at the end of the episode, he did collapse.
Yeah, and that was another point of topic, but we can get to that then.
Okay.
I mean, again, through this episode, all we see is signs of weakness from the king. And we also know the king doesn't sail well.
No, he doesn't. He's not a dragon rider. The throne is chewing him up alive, and he does not do well on the sea. Those are not good things.
When he goes to Valerian to talk about marrying off his daughter, the conversation that the two of them have is that he basically came there begging and pleading.
Almost.
And again,
the Valerians were very humble, though. I mean, they received him very humbly.
Yes, they did.
They certainly did. Now, I can't remember his name, but Lord Valerian, negotiated a little bit, and so his kids will get to keep their names, but he will whoever takes the throne will take the name Targaryen.
Yes.
So that's an interesting compromise as well.
And I thought it was interesting that they made that compromise knowing their son's preferences.
Did they know? You think they knew?
They had the conversation.
Did they? I must have missed that part in the episode. I'll have to.
The Valerian king, he says that he's young and he'll grow out of it.
Oh, okay. No, you're right. Actually, okay. Yep. Now I remember. So, yep. Good. And this is why Mizpah co-hosts this, so he can catch anything that I missed. Yeah, and they had a conversation about it. The princess and his son. They had a conversation walking on the beach about it as well. Basically, it's going to be a marriage of just arrangement. It'll be a political marriage. They will produce heirs, and other than that, they will be free to do what they want.
Well, I don't even know if they so much as said that they would produce heirs. They just had a conversation about essentially having an open relationship.
Yeah, but they also talked about how it was their duty.
Their duties.
Yeah, and I believe that you would imagine that having children to secure the next line, the line of succession, would be part of their duties. I think that would be understood between the both of them. I think when they had a conversation about their duty and what their duties entailed, I think that was part of it. I do believe that was part of it, that was an understanding between them, that they would be married for political reasons, but they would have to produce heirs. I think, and that's what she said. And then after it's done, who cares? We can do what we want. So I think she's saying that we need to produce heirs, but other than that, it's whatever.
Okay.
Essentially an open relationship, as you just said.
Yeah. So we met a character in this episode. And this character, I missed his name. But he walks with a cane.
Yeah, he's hunched over.
Kind of hunched over, met with the queen.
Yeah.
And told her about the tea that was delivered to Rhaenyra.
Yeah. And we can't remember his name or his house name at this time. Like I said, we'll handle all the house names on the next episode when we have a big, nice chart for ourselves. But yeah, that was an interesting conversation. And he seems like a sneaky little.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I definitely got a very Lord Baelish kind of vibe from him.
Yeah.
or
Or like a large
know,
virus, even.
yeah. I kind of lean a little more towards Lord Baelish, because Virus kind of his goal was the kingdom.
Yes, he was for the people. Yes, he was for the people, and I don't believe that this character is. If that's what you were about to point out there, that yes, I think you're right. I think this character does not have the wholesome or the good intentions behind his cunning that Lord Virus did, the Master of Whispers. But I do believe that this guy is not. He is not serving the realm. He's certainly serving himself or his family. Definitely, he's. Yeah. I mean, most people in the Game of Thrones tend to serve either themselves or their families, their houses.
So, and then that prompts the queen to have a conversation with Sir Christian or
Sir
Kristen.
Sir Kristen, yeah, Sir Kristen. And he just admits to it. He can't live with the shame.
But I don't think she was planning on having. I think she
No.
wanted him to confirm that the that Rhaenyra had relations with her uncle.
Yeah, that's what she was looking for.
But
She wanted Sir Christian to say that she did not have relations with her uncle, and then whether he did it because he couldn't live with the guilt or he thought that she actually knew, he just confessed that yes, it was me.
I think Sir Kristen. I don't think he knows about her and her uncle. I think he automatically assumed that
That's yeah.
Queen caught wind of him and her, and that's why he owned up to it.
Yeah. I think so too. I think so too. I think you're right. I think he didn't know what happened when she snuck out. Even though he knew she snuck out, I don't think he knew what happened. And even with that other people knew, I don't think he knew. So I think you're right. I think he just assumed that she knew and just confessed to it. Being the
And
honorable man that he is, the queen doesn't do anything about it. She just sends him back. I found that interesting. That's a big move for her. That's a move that says no. No, I'm not ready to remove your piece from the board quite yet. Go.
yeah,
That's
which
certainly
again,
a different.
back to me saying that she's got her own chess game she's playing.
And I think, well, let's talk about her for a minute, unless you had another topic you wanted to jump to. But the hand leaving, her father leaves King's Landing. So she is on her own now. He tells her that in the conversation.
Yeah,
So I think she's doing bold moves, good moves, and starting to secure her flanks, realizing that she may not have that really. I think she just finally realized that really every family is out for themselves, and that if she doesn't watch out for herself and her family, she can't rely on the Targaryens to look out for the Hightower's best interest.
or
Um,
her in general.
Yeah, and also I would like to point out now that we now have three families potentially vying for the throne upon the king's death. The Hightowers being he's a Targaryen, but he's half Hightower because of the new queen being the son of the new queen. Um, and now the Valerians, who
Yep.
married who married the princess, their offspring will certainly have a strong claim as well. Where we now have three different families vying for the throne then upon the king's death.
Yep. And that's uh,
That's a Game of Thrones right there.
absolutely. It's going to be a mess.
Yeah,
Is what
let's
that.
point out that the Valerians also do have dragons of their own. They are a dragon family, the Targaryens and the Valerians, both dragon families. Okay, so
And
if they're on separate sides, that's a serious thing. That's a serious thing. If
yes.
they're on the same side, then if you're opposing them, then you're effed.
So yeah, and that's. I'm very interested to see where that leads, if anywhere.
Yeah.
Um, because I don't, even though they wed, I don't know if they're necessarily allied.
Yeah, well, let's talk. Are you ready to go to the wedding? Is that next on your topics?
Actually, right before the wedding,
Yeah, sure.
Damon, well, he offs his wife.
Oh man, he offs his wife. Yeah, he does. Well, doesn't I think that's right at the top of the episode, isn't it? That's how we opened the episode, if
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
mistaken.
that was
Yeah,
top
yeah,
of the
yeah. That was that's yes, he does. He offs his wife. Yes, he does. Who and obviously hasn't consummated the marriage with anyway.
which kind of lends its point to our previous conversations about his
Yeah,
performance issues with women.
potentially.
Um, and the fact that she was busting his chops the minute she saw him uh, kind of gave us an insight as to what kind of woman she was.
Oh, she's of the North. She's of the Vale, so we know what kind of woman she was going to be. Yeah, she's going to be one of those hard women for sure. Yeah.
But if you remember, one of the last things that the king says to him after he asks to be married to Rhaenyra is, "But you're already married."
Yeah, true. And well, I don't know if you were playing this segue, but they had a conversation. Prince Daemon and Prince Rhaenyra had a conversation right there in the middle of the wedding feast. And she told him, "If you want me as a wife, then take me right now. Kill the king's guard and take me to Dragonstone and marry me." I mean, I thought that was I couldn't believe that they were having that conversation. In Old Valerian, right there in the middle. I mean, I don't know how many other families speak it, but I just couldn't believe that that was the conversation unfolding between those two.
Well, and you know what? I think the reason she said that is because she knew he wouldn't do it. I think
You
she was
think?
challenged.
Yeah, but see, eventually she. I mean, it's not the first time that she's done that, and
Huh?
eventually he's going to call her bluff on that. I mean, eventually, he's going to call.
Will he?
I don't know. I think so, but maybe not.
I think he will.
Yeah, so I mean, he had Prince Damon had his own entrance into the wedding. It was similar to the Queen's, but not nearly as whoa.
And
And the
yeah,
king gave him a chair.
the king did give him a chair and welcomed him.
Yep.
But the fact that he showed up, I thought was interesting at all.
Yeah.
And I think he had reasons for that, and we're not quite sure what they were.
Yeah, I think so too.
More than just causing a scene.
Yeah, Prince Damon's motives are seem to be difficult to understand at this point.
And then, right after the scene where the two of them are talking in Old Valerian or
Yeah, Old Valerian. Yep.
Old Valerian, we see the future king consort's lover go talk to Sir Kristen, and they have a brief conversation saying that, he understands that they both have a vested interest in this union, and that it's been worked out where everybody will be happy.
Yeah, and I thought, listen to me. I thought that was actually very interesting that he did that. Not just how do I want to explain this? I was actually very when he said that to Sir Kristen, I thought, wow. I was like, they could really be secured. I mean, they could have an open relationship with their two protectors, and these two protectors will secure both of them. I mean, having
Yeah.
two excellent knights who would sacrifice their lives to keep you safe
Yeah.
would be huge. That would be huge. That would
But
completely
of course,
secure those two.
Yeah,
And
this is Game of Thrones we're talking about here.
Yeah, of course. But when he did come up, when he did say that to him, and then he walked away, and Sir Kristen kind of seemed like he didn't like it. I was just like, really, dude? I'm like, I know you don't want to be the whore, the mistress. He has honor, like I get that, but he just kind of came up to you and honorably said that, hey, we should protect these two with our lives.
Yeah.
I found it very interesting that he was kind of, was sneered at him a little bit as he walked away. And then, of course, we know how it turned out. I believe Mizpah is getting something from the breeze right now.
And he also had said about, keeping it a secret, but he had already let the cat out of the bag. By telling Sir Kristen.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. And if this point came from the breeze, we might disagree a little bit on this point. I think what he was trying to do was honorable. I think he was trying to, and this is weird for me to say because, you know how I feel about, what are the Game of Thrones? What's the term that some people use in the Game of Thrones? The pillow biters, I believe it is. The pillow biters, I'm not really too fond of that, but I thought what he was trying to do was very honorable to Sir Christian. I always thought he was trying to say, listen, we both love them. We need to protect them. I thought, and so his reaction, and I don't know if we're going there next, but his reaction seemed a little over the top.
Well, so I had misunderstood the breeze a little bit. Oh. She was referring to Sir Kristen telling the Queen what had happened already. So he had already let the cat out of the bag.
Oh, very good. Oh, yeah, you're saying Sir Kristen had already let the cat out of the bag. Yeah, you're right. You are, yes. The breeze makes a good point with that. His honor, he's obviously honor first and, doesn't like secrets. So he wouldn't have been able to live, to be the mistress. He wouldn't have been able to do that. But that still doesn't. I don't know. I mean, I get that point of it. I get the honor point of it. I get the honor side of it. But and
but I guess is the honor part enough to cause him to snap and smash in the king's lover's
skull, dude's whole face? Sir Christian. Yeah, Sir Kristen crushed in the king consort lover's whole face. And that's what I'm saying. Listen, I don't see where you go from the conversation they had to that. Yeah. I don't see the connection.
I feel like there's something missing that we don't know about.
Unless he walked up to him and insulted his mother. I don't see, because him being honor. So if someone insulted his mother, he'd have to do something about it. But I don't see how you get from the conversation they had to that. Yeah. Unless Sir Kristen took the conversation they had to be an insult or take an offense to it, which again I find completely ridiculous because his lover was saying, listen, we should protect these two. We love them. We should protect them. Yeah, he was sneering at him and being like, yeah, we can still be with them. And I get it, the honor thing, but it's doesn't his oath of protecting the Princess Rhaenyra, doesn't that mean anything to him? And when she becomes the queen, doesn't that mean anything to him though? Doesn't that part mean anything? He basically had another knight coming up to him saying, hey, we should protect these two. We love them. How do you get from that? How do you take such an offense to that? And what else could be said to go to bashing a man's skull in? You don't. He bashed his skull in. He didn't He didn't just punch him in the face, knock him out, beat him into a pulp, make him unconscious, or he didn't even put him into a coma. He bashed his entire face in, and he did it with his bare hand. What? How do
Yeah.
you go? That's what I'm saying, dude. Like, I mean, you got to think that the level of anger and whatever he had to be feeling to bash a man's face in with your bare hand. What from that conversation to what did that happen?
And then how about the fact that he decides he's going to go off himself, like Harry Carey style?
What? Yeah, what? Well, I mean, afterwards, when he realized what he did, it made more. That makes more sense because he's like, he just effed up twice in a row. He's supposed to be this knight, and he just fucked up twice in a row. Sorry, I dropped the F bomb. But yeah, I didn't. And then the queen saves him.
Yeah, how about that?
What?
How did she know where to find him?
I think the queen's going to get herself some of Sir Christian. I heard the breeze laughing. She agrees. The breeze agrees.
Something's going to happen there.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. She's getting some. I mean, the king's falling apart. Come on. The king's falling apart. She's getting some from Sir Christian. How else is she going to pay back the princess for lying to her other than, you know, getting down with her dude?
Yeah. That would be good payback.
Yeah. I mean, it's terrible payback, but yes, it would certainly take a jab at her big time. You know what I mean?
And then the fact that we've had all of this happen in the matter of what, hours, minutes?
Well, the last 15 minutes of the episode was when all the crazy crap happened.
But in like their time, in like Game of Thrones time.
Yeah.
It's been a couple hours.
And then and then the king calls the shotgun wedding.
Yeah, at the end.
Yeah, he's done with the celebration. I mean, it was supposed to conclude it was supposed to be 7 days of celebration concluding with their marriage. And after what just happened, he calls a shotgun wedding and gets them married right there in the room where his lover just had his skull bashed in. Food still all over the tables. What?
Let's talk about the king's record at organizing events for a minute. We've got
so good at it. He was not meant to be an event planner in his life. He should stop doing it.
Like anything the king tries to do just absolutely turns to shit.
Yes. Starting with the birth of his son and his first wife, who then, of course, we know what happened. And my apologies to the breeze for that for having to see that. But yeah, everything he does is just it turns to a big pile of shit. Even leaves, and you probably weren't thinking about this one, but even listen, he sends the hand and Kingsguard members and all this to Dragonstone when Prince Daemon takes over Dragonstone with whatever 100 250 gold cloaks or whatever it was that he stole. Well, not stole, but defected to him. And then the princess rides in on her dragon, resolving the issue. I mean, he did not plan for her. I mean, yeah, everything he does does not even happen. He's terrible at it.
And then we end the episode with the king just collapsing to the floor.
Yep, at the end of the shotgun wedding, with just basically immediate family, and then he collapses to the ground. What?
Did you actually hear either of them say that they agreed to the marriage in front of the
yeah, they were. When they do the yeah, as soon as they go through all of their gods, and then at the end they say, "I am hers, she is mine," until this day, until our last day. That's technically the end of the vows.
Okay.
And that's when it happens. He falls right after. He falls moments after they finish their vows.
And that was such a romantic kiss.
It was amazing. And
absolutely,
the wedding. Yeah, I mean,
that's
everybody. Bree wants a wedding like that. Let me tell you. Blood stains on the floor, food just left out. Absolutely, that's what everybody wants.
But it
So
wouldn't be a Game of Thrones wedding if there wasn't some blood and guts.
the only ones that ever actually are make it are just small ones. And even then, even most of them don't. They usually shortly after end in some kind of terrible tragedy. Yeah, the history of weddings. I don't know how any of these families, reproduce. Every time there's a wedding, there's a family being exterminated. What is going on? Why? How are these families even continuing their lines?
So let me ask you, after watching this episode, where do you foresee it going?
Well, you shouldn't ask me that. I watched scenes for next week's episode. I had to. I couldn't help myself. I couldn't help myself.
So did I. But outside of what they show us in that, like,
Okay. All right. Okay. I think the queen and the princess Rhaenyra, I think their feud definitely starts to increase in some way. I think the queen begins plotting. I think you were right before her father left that she was kind of looking out for herself. But now I think she's going to even be taking bigger steps. She's going to take larger steps to secure herself, I think. And to make relationships. I think that's what that is with Sir Christian. Whether they actually bone or not, I don't know whether that is going to be the case. She could just as easily just take him as a member of as her personal King's Guard. The King's Guard has responsibilities for the whole family, the whole royal family, not just the king. So she could just take him as her own personal King's Guard. That would probably get under her skin also. I think that's step one. I think whether or not they bone, in fact, actually, now that I think about it, maybe they don't. Maybe they don't hook up. But I do think she takes Sir Christian as one of her personal guards. I think the fact that he was honest to the queen and the fact that he is so guilty about his dishonor, I think he will be so loyal to the queen. I think that's her. I think Sir Christian becomes the queen's most loyal soldier.
okay.
That's one thing I see happening. I see the King Viserys, continuing to deteriorate, and fall apart bit by bit. I see since Rhaenyra lost her lover and the new king consort lost his lover, I see their relationship taking a turn.
Okay.
I'm not sure which turn it's going to take. I'm not sure if they'll get more distant from each other or if this will bound them and make them maybe even a stronger couple. Maybe they come together in a way they weren't going to before. Because they both lost their person. They're gonna comfort each other in some way, I think. And I think they will start producing children. I think they produce heirs. And I think, like I said, I think both of them losing their lovers, I think, is going to be a huge thing that pushes them together. Even though the king consort prefers the company of other men to women, I think the loss of him will push those two and give them some kind of connection.
Okay. What role do you foresee? Where do you see Daemon heading?
Oh, I have no idea. To off another person, to cut someone else in half, to have his dragon eat somebody,
He's such the wild card.
to knock down a castle. Maybe he doesn't do anything. Maybe maybe the next episode he just sits on Dragonstone. Who knows with him? That's what I'm saying. I don't know. He's the one that I don't have any idea. Everybody else is not predictable, but you can see where their stories are kind of going and stuff, and these characters, they're becoming their characters, and all of the actors and actresses on the show are doing a fantastic job, all of them. Even the people who are just supporting roles and stuff, all of them are amazing. And I think with Daemon though, and this is credit to Matt Smith. Matt Smith being just a crazy amazing actor. We don't know what Daemon's going to do. I think that's part of his character, is that we don't know what Daemon's capable of or what he's going to do next.
I think the one thing we can always count Damon for being is impulsive.
Yeah, and unpredictable.
But it's a calculated impulse.
Well, sometimes. Yes. Yes. I mean, yes. That when he took the crabbers, that was an impulse, and there was no guarantee in that impulse, though. That was an impulse that was a dangerous impulse, and yes, his fighting prowess and his fighting skill got him the victory, but that was dangerous. He took an arrow or two arrows, and I mean, it wasn't just an easy ask for him, and especially not in those times. Arrows could be deadly even then, even if they're not in the spot, a deadly spot. A wound can become infected very quickly. So I think yes, he impulsive, yes, but sometimes that's both good and bad. And just because it's worked out for him so far, I think he's gonna make an impulse decision that backfires eventually. Maybe not with his death. Maybe not with his death, but it's going to backfire. He's going to do something, and it's not going to be what he wanted to have happen.
So he asks about his inheritance of Brownstone.
Runestone.
What?
Runestone.
Runestone.
Yeah.
Something stone.
Runestone. I'm pretty sure it's Runestone. It's one of the smaller houses of the Vale.
And I feel like there's a reason he wants that.
I feel that is just nothing more to him than something else that he can claim that gives him power. He is now a seat of power within the Vale. A legitimate seat of power, not an illegitimate, the younger brother of the king, been removed as heir. He's not, Dragonstone is the seat of power for the Targaryens. He took it over for the Gold Cloaks, but that's not necessarily even a legitimate title either. This is a legitimate title that he now has claim to. And I think we're going to see a little bit of Lord Peter Baelish in that in Daemon Targaryen's character. I think he'll use this to parlay something and then he'll kill somebody else and then parlay that. And I think maybe even if he's not running the Vale, he will find a way. He's going to get power. He's going to get some power, legitimate power, not one he stole from with the Gold Cloaks that defected, not one that's owed to him because of a bloodline. He's going to get himself some power that belongs to him.
And of course, when he goes to claim Runestone, there's going to be some protest involved because people believe he killed his wife, which he did.
Yes, absolutely. But my question to you is then: did he say that to that guy because he is actually, in fact, going to go and claim his inheritance? Did he do it just to cause rumblings? Does the title suit him enough that he doesn't need the inheritance? That the inheritance was just get under your skin? Hey, I'm owed this. I'm part of the family now. This is what I'm owed. But does he really want that, or is it just the title that matters to him?
I think he likes the fact that he has that in his back pocket, and if he ever has a reason for it, he will go claim it.
I would fully 100% agree with that. Absolutely. 100%. I agree with everything you said. I think it's a card in his back pocket that he can go play if he needs.
So that's where I'm at, and that's where I foresee him heading.
Yep.
I think he'll kind of drift a little bit, and he's going to end up doing something that causes him to have to fall back on the Runestone inheritance.
Maybe, or he just parlays that into something else. I mean, if he gets enough power within the Vale, then they would just probably recognize that he wouldn't have to fight for it. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying I don't think he goes and directly lays claim, not with everything surrounding his wife that he killed her. So I don't know that he walks right in there and just claims it. Although he's been known to do, he did that with the crabbers. He walked right right the hell in with the Crabbers. But I don't think he'll do that. I think I think the title suits him more for now, and then if needed, it's something that he can fall back on.
Okay.
That's what I think. I think it's something that he can fall back on. But of course, again, with Daemon Targaryen, we don't know. There's no way to know. He's too unpredictable. We don't know what he's capable of or what his next move is. We know that the Princess Rhaenyra is obviously, he has an infatuation or some kind of desire for her. But other than that, we don't know what his motives are.
And I think the princess is starting to lose her infatuation with him a little bit.
You think?
I think that's why she called him out and said, all right, take me now. Let's go. Take me to, the other castle.
Dragonstone, yeah.
And because she really wouldn't do it. I think she's calling him out because she's starting to lose her infatuation with him.
Yes. Well, we can assume that at least many years are passing in between these individual episodes. Let's talk about that. Unless you had something else, let's talk about time for just a second before we wrap up. Because we know, listen, the king consort, okay, his sister, all right, was the little girl that the King Viserys was supposed to marry, and she's clearly much older now. They're clearly in their upper teens, mid to upper teens at the youngest. So many years are passing at this point. And how about, that's what I found interesting. She kind of eyeballed Daemon.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, that was interesting too. So that seems interesting to me. And I'm not sure if she's a dragon rider or not, but if she's a dragon rider and he's a dragon rider and those two get together, that would shift the realm.
That would be very interesting.
Yeah.
Talk about a power seat.
Talk about a power couple.
Yeah.
I mean, having two dragon riders, absolutely. Now, I don't know if the king consort is a dragon rider, but she, to me, his sister seems to be, I bet she's a dragon rider.
Yeah.
And we know Prince Daemon is, obviously. But I just that they had a little look there, or she was eyeballing him. I don't know if he looked back, but she was eyeballing him. So I found that interesting too, and I just wanted to touch on that here before we wrap up.
Well, either way, I think with everything that happened this episode, we're in for a very interesting episode 6.
Yeah, and I have no idea where we could be going. I have no idea. I don't know where to predict. We can take some guesses and we can talk about it like we just did, but we really don't know. We'll know when we get there. We got 6, 7, 8, 9. So we got 5 episodes. We're halfway through. We got 5 more episodes to go, and then the end of season 1. Well, I have no idea where we're going to go, but apparently time is going to be a factor in this show. So I'm very interested to see how they're going to handle this type of show where time seems to jump between each episode. And we're talking about not just weeks or months between an episode. We're talking about potentially months to years between many of these episodes. So
I'm not sure if you're aware, a little bit of a spoiler alert. There are new actors and actresses for certain characters in the next episode. Because there's going to be that much of a time jump.
Yeah. And some of those actors and actresses are actually going to be the same, and they're using makeup and CGI.
Some of them, yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. With this kind of time jumping, it's interesting to see where this show is going to go and how they're going to take it. Usually when you have a star like someone like Princess Rhaenyra, to do time jumps like this, it's interesting. It's interesting, and I'm curious to see how they're going to handle not just the end of season 1. Where are we going for season 1? But what are they setting up for season 2? How much time is going to pass between seasons? Could we almost see an anthology type series, Miss? But let's take another minute here. Could this almost be an anthology type series, Ms. Paul, where in between seasons, it's a whole new cast almost? and with maybe just a few left over that have aged or something. You know what I mean? Like, could this be a type of anthology series where we'll get a different cast, where it's a new generation, where we get the next generation of what's going on in season 2?
That's a possibility.
Will it be about Princess Rhaenyra's and then the king consort's children? Will that be season 2?
Or does season 2 start to follow a different house?
It's called House of the Dragon, so I don't think that's as much
what I mean is, do they only do one season of House of the Dragon?
Oh, and then do something else? No. Well, a little behind the scenes. House of the Dragon's already been renewed for season 2.
Oh, okay.
Whether or not is it going to be House of the Dragon? But yeah, you know what I mean. Just because it's House of the Dragon season 2 has been renewed doesn't mean that it's actually going to be called House of the Dragon. That's an interesting thought too. Is the next season going to be House Valerion or House Hightower?
Yeah.
And follow maybe one of those houses that fall or something. That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. I tend to lean a little bit more towards what I'm thinking, where it could be maybe an anthology series where we're going to get a different generation, and we're going to get a couple hundred years throughout the 4 or 5 seasons or whatever we're going to get.
Okay.
But that's an interesting.
I think would be very interesting.
Yeah, but that's interesting too. If they did different houses, that would be interesting. Absolutely. And one last thing, Snow has been approved. They're going to start making Jon Snow. It'll be after the events of Game of Thrones. It'll follow Jon Snow and what happens after he goes north of the Wall with the wildlings and whatnot. That series has been greenlit. They will be making it. It will likely be out probably at the early part of next year. They'll probably do that as their as weird as it is, Snow will probably be their springtime series. Maybe winter, but likely their springtime series, and then House of the Dragon will likely be their fall time series.
Did they bring
Kit Harington? Yes, Kit Harington is Jon Snow.
Okay, good. I look forward to seeing that.
I'm a little on the fence about it, but I think we should save discussion for the potential Snow episode for another time, for another episode. So, please leave us a comment if you have a favorite character yet. Who do you like? I don't believe Mizpah or the Breeze. You guys don't have favorite characters, right? I don't have a favorite character yet.
No, not yet.
We could be out of it. We could be into the next generation before Mizpah and I select our favorite characters. We might have to go back and retroactively select a favorite character at the end of season 1.
I'm kind of starting to like the Royal Guard, Sir Kristen.
Yeah.
I'm kind of starting to like him a little bit.
I was starting to until the events of this episode. Now I'm definitely not sure about him at all. This episode made me not sure.
That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. So we don't have favorite characters yet. Leave us a comment if you have a favorite character. YouTube, Rumble, Facebook. Just search Mayhem Media or Mayhem Media Inc. on any of those platforms. You will find us. Just look for the Skull and Crossbones. For my co-host Mizpah and the Breeze off screen, thank you for contributing, Breeze. I am your host JD, and that's the end.
All right.